Uh, oh, I love the backstage talks before these shows start. Welcome to the Moon Unscathed. I'm DuVall Hearn, more affectionately known as the Moon, and I am back with Jayce Maxwell.
Hello.
And I am so close to like every time I like go to say your name, I want to say like something else, like Mitchell or something. And I always have to like think extra hard. Like right now, I was like staring at your name on the graphic to make sure I said it right. He said
Hey,
hello, so I talked over him saying hello. So I'm gonna give him a chance to say hello again to the people who are listening and or watching the show.
hello. I am Jayce Maxwell. I am an author, editor, and someone who is a fan of queer films and the history behind them.
We have my other co-host to the Soccer and the Moon Horror Podcast popping into the chat,
Hello, Sako.
throwing out a quick promo just because why not? It's my fucking show. I can do that. Soccer and the Moon Horror Podcast returns to YouTube this Friday. We will have author MJ Huntsgood, and I can't wait to get the show back going. It's one of my favorite projects. Because if you're unfamiliar, there's 1,001 podcasts starring DuVall Hearn. Because Jesus wept, and he's like, "You should have a podcast. Have 20." And technically, this is just the same. This is the Moon Unscathed, which is a show that I started a long time ago, with the purpose of having conversations that other people find very difficult. Insert backstory here. I don't need to go back into it, but that's one of the reasons why when Jayce brought this project up, I was totally on board. It was perfect for Pride. It was perfect for Moon Unscathed, and we're on to the second movie. The first video did pretty good. We did Brokeback Mountain, which I feel like if you're going to do a series like this, one of the first movies you'd have to tackle is Brokeback Mountain, and the social stigma that came with it.
Yeah.
So you're here on the YouTube. You can find it if you're listening to this somehow on Facebook, which may or may not be broadcasting this live. I should probably check. Then you can find it there. Pretty good episode, I think so. And this week we are covering the movie, But I'm a Cheerleader. Do you want to give a quick synopsis of what this is about?
First, I wanted to just reiterate something about Sako, our friend.
Go for it.
Just because she is the reason that you and I are friends. Like, we met through her.
True. We met through her Discord server.
Mm-hmm.
So many great people on the flip.
Oh my God, yes.
Sako has a great taste in friends, which is obvious because us, but
yes.
So yeah, shout out to Sako.
So, last week when I said we were going to watch this, and I think backstage I said that, I thought this might have, I've heard that this movie had something to do with conversion therapy. No, this movie is fully about conversion therapy.
Like that is the crux of the entire movie.
Yeah. It is a lighthearted, satirical lampooning of conversion therapy, which it took me until the second watch, because I did watch it twice, to fully appreciate. But yeah, it's about this girl whose friends and family hold an intervention for her that she is a lesbian, and she didn't even realize she was a lesbian.
Yeah, she just thought that girls were pretty, and everyone thought the girls were pretty.
Which that scene is one of my gripes, but we'll get back to that. And she goes to this camp and meets all the people, and it's actually a love story between her and one of the other campers, played by Clea DuVall.
Who is like my favorite, found you in a mental ward therapy space. I love Girl Interrupted. And same, I had a flashback to Girl Interrupted so bad. We're not getting into the movie part just yet. There's a little bit more we want to talk about beforehand. But when they open the door and she's just laying there on the bed looking at whoever just walked in, I'm like, that's exactly what she did in fucking Girl Interrupted.
So this movie was shot right before Girl Interrupted. They came out the same year.
Yeah.
But she is coming off of The Faculty.
Another underappreciated horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
She's an underappreciated actress, and I didn't know her name, Clea DuVall. I had to like write down phonetically how to pronounce her name, because it's names that are not traditionally spelled. I'm just like,
she is underappreciated generally. However, in the lesbian community, holy shit, she is the Messiah. She is one of the Messiahs. And yeah, Natasha Lyonne is also great in this movie.
I have a big crush on Melanie Lynskey.
But yeah, the number of lesbian friends I had during this time that had their sexual awakening from Clea DuVall is staggering.
That checks. That just checks.
And watching, even the first time I watched this movie last week, I was like, okay, I get it. Like, if I were a lesbian and she was coming at me like that, I would have been putty too.
I feel like she's just a level of attractiveness where she could probably get literally anybody with an
Probably. There is a comedy term I've heard for that, when you attract both equally: ambisextrous.
That's hard to say.
Yeah.
And I didn't even try to say it. I'm struggling listening to you say it. But before we go too far away from the topic, because we could do an entire show on her, I'm sure. This movie does cover the tough topic of conversion therapy, which, mind you, it's really important that when you watch movies back, that you take in consideration when this movie came out and the audience in the time upon which it was made. It was made in 1999. We had a lot of different conventions back then socially. This is the era of don't ask, don't tell, where it's like, okay, be gay, but keep it to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 99. They weren't as it wasn't as openly accepted, socially fought for. A podcast like this would not have taken place in 1999. One, because they didn't do podcasts yet. The iPod hadn't been invented yet. But two, because this is just not the kind of thing that you were open and just openly talking about in spaces, unless it was either super serious or super satirical. And this movie is very satirical.
Having been at my prime in the late 90s, I remember that being like prime battleground for the LGBT community. Like, just, we were fighting back hard during that time.
Yeah. And there's a lot to fight, because we discussed this beforehand. Not only in 99 did we have, like, mind you, don't ask, don't tell is a phrase that people might have heard here and there. Those maybe born after 2000, you may have heard in passing. Understood that was an actual policy. That was a military policy.
Yeah.
There was a big, huge issue with gay people in the military. Mind you, we're just getting to a point where women can be on the front line. This is brand new. So the military was basically a straight men's club, and if you were gay in the military, you had to keep it to yourself. Like that's just it was not safe, and I think in some places, in some spaces, it's still not super safe.
And also, it was also the time of DOMA.
What's DOMA?
The Defense of Marriage Act. That 1996, it defined marriage by law as between a man and a woman.
Yes. I recently had a conversation with my son, and we were talking about rights that people had when they were born. And as far as like full on voting rights and rights as we recognize them today, I am one of the first people in my family to be born with those rights. And then when you think about the rights for gay marriage, my son was born in 2014. Gay marriage wasn't legal until 2015.
Right.
So I had mentioned to him that even he, like the right for gay people to be married is younger than he is. Like that's how new these concepts are as far as like the legality of things. And some people might be like, marriage is a piece of paper, blah, 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 blah. And look, this podcast is not to get into your relationship and whether or not you should propose to your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. But the point of the legalities and understanding this legality is like when it comes to ownership of property, when it comes to like medical decisions to be made if you're unconscious or unable to do so, these things default to married partners. And if you spent the last 20 years, Adam and Steve, you built a life together. And if something happens to Adam, Steve should be the one to handle the business. The house should go to Steve. The car should go to Steve, so Steve can maintain living the life Steve has. And only up until recently have those two non-existent metaphorical people have had the right to those natural rights.
And another thing, I mean, Adam has a biological child, and something happens to him, Steve cannot visit in the hospital. That shit has gone down countless times.
It's amazing. People, I get it. Like people view marriage a certain way, and I'm not here to tell you how to view marriage, but I will warn that if you are going to be, I'll use the advice that I saw on one of those divorce court shows. This couple lived together for like 10, 15 years, never got married, and then was wanting to split marital property and wanting claim, but they didn't have any rights to anything because they weren't actually married. And they said, you've been sitting here playing house for 10 to 15 years. And just a fair warning. It's ultimately what you're doing. You're just playing house. And at some point in time, there's going to be some legalities. And if you guys can't agree to them, to how they break apart, if something happens to their split, or God forbid, something happens to one or the other, this is an issue. And this all is important because these all have to do with legal rights and the time frame and what a person who didn't fit the social standard and social norm, straight Christian, opposite sex marriage kind of thing, 2.5 kids, where you get a half a kid. I don't know, but whatever. But things were tough. And one of the things that happened to those people, those young children particularly, when parents started to get suspicion, is they would send them to some camp, some conversion camp, some Christian camp, some church camp to do better and learn better and be better. Side note, don't do that. It didn't work for the Duggars. It didn't work for anybody in this movie. It's not going to work for your kid either. Just don't torture them that way.
Just a last thought on the marriage equality thing before we move on is it's been 11 years. Almost 11 years.
Almost. 26th.
There are factions that are trying to pick apart at the seams of that and get rid of it.
And please understand that this is something that is a problem, because when they pick apart gay marriage, interracial marriage is next.
Mm-hmm.
That's not just hyperbole. That's not just an assumption. That's not just liberal fears. This has been verbalized. It's on record. It's public record. It has been stated by a Supreme Court justice.
And if they do,
ironically,
pick it apart,
in an interracial marriage. That's the ironic part. I digress.
If they do pick it apart, it will have lasted 11 years, which is still longer than the Confederacy.
Sadly, and most marriages in America.
I had to throw that one in there.
Oh, yeah. This is the number one piece of advice that you can, like, from parent to parent to parent to parent. Just love your kid. Just love them. Nothing else ultimately matters. Just love your kids. Like, your kids will ultimately remember how they felt in your presence. Just love your fucking kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you judge and pick them apart, they will remember that shit for fucking ever. That shit doesn't just go away.
So, do you want to get into the casting?
Not yet. Closer to the movie. I want to get more into conversion therapy, because one of the things that you sent me was a Reddit post full of the
survivor stories.
Basically. And the reason why this is important, because if we're going to do a show that's more than just a movie review, then we really need to get into the crux of things. And this movie does completely hinge on conversion therapy. And I apologize, because I feel like I should have clarified this, but I didn't think there should have been a need, but there's always a need. There's always one. Conversion therapy is literally a camp or set of classes or something where the goal is
medical treatment.
Or medical treatment. That's when it gets even worse.
Yeah.
Where, trust me, I'm not going to get monetized. Where they try to convert you from wherever you are, whichever letter you're claiming at the time, to being straight. That is, straight Christian is the end goal, because that's quote unquote normal. That's quote unquote where everyone should be. And as a straight Christian, I'll tell you this: it's not all it's cracked up to be. I mean, women are great, but Christianity has been kind of hijacked, so we kind of let that go. But this isn't the end all be all, because not everyone in my house follows that same suit. Not all of my friends follow that same suit. Most of my friends don't, if I'm being completely honest. And they're all incredible, wonderful people who have been given the opportunity to just live their life as they are. And I haven't heard not one single solitary positive success story from conversion therapy. Everyone is just traumatized now, those that are still with us.
And that's the thing. Trevor Project has correlated the stats, and I'll try and couch this in YouTube friendly terms. Those who finish conversion therapy are twice as likely to attempt ending things, because that's what conversion therapy, the tame conversion therapy, is psychological warfare.
Yeah.
And it makes people hate themselves.
And there is a correlation to that in the movie that we're going to get into. I'll refer to it here. Our main character, Megan, is a young girl, still in high school, raised in a very Christian household. Nothing crazy, I would say. Pretty typical Midwestern Christian home. with just strong, probably conservative Christian values, which in and of itself, not a problem. And I think that's where she gets some of her internal conflict, is she's recognizing some of these feelings, but these feelings go against her teaching. She was taught to basically be a good person. Is a good Christian person, and that's why she translated it. And she's like, this doesn't fit the list of things that good Christian people do. And so she had this internal battle of her own. It's like, I am comfortable with these beliefs, but I'm also behaving in a way that contradicts them. And I think that's also a lot of internal struggles that, from what I've learned, queer people have encountered, just what to do with their personal beliefs that they still don't find issue with. Like gay people in church who are still feeling like they're Christian, but they still have this back and forth battle with what defines Christianity, what is acceptable in the eyes of God, so on and so on. And I think that that's the psychological battle that Megan deals with internally, ignoring the external stresses that she will encounter.
And she is so deeply in denial. Like, she absolutely does not think that she is a lesbian.
She doesn't. No.
She firmly believes that she's straight.
And to be honest with you, I wasn't completely convinced at first, because I'm like, he does kiss bad.
Yeah.
Like, sure, everyone's going to be into what they're into, but when you watch this movie, and I suggest everyone watch this movie, it's on Tubi, because of course it is. And
boyfriend kisses like a golden retriever.
He does. Actually, I've watched a golden retriever kiss. He's worse.
It's like, bleh, 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 bleh.
For those who are looking for the visual, there isn't one. Be thankful. But it's such this wild lick your whole face. Like, on the outside, we should never see your tongue. Like, in this situation, and I'm not here to teach people how to kiss. I'm not the world's best kisser. but still, like, I'm like, maybe she doesn't like the way he gets. I can understand. This guy seems kind of dense. this is this is the worst example for her. Yeah, I just don't like guys. Like, no, she doesn't like this guy. Most girls shouldn't. Like, this. I digress. But conversion therapy, and as serious as conversion therapy is, I do appreciate this movie bringing it up in a way that is sort of satirical, is very colorful, very, very colorful.
Like Tim Burton colorful.
Yeah, like just 90s Barbie pink, pastel blue. I mean, look at the graphic. I mean, you guys can't see us, but you can see the colors used here in the graphic. Like, this is it. This is it right here, guys.
The entire movie is that vibrant.
The whole thing. Like, everything that happens at the camp.
Except for her that dinner at home with her parents at the beginning.
Yeah,
that looked like a fucking dungeon.
But of course, that's where you get into like the movie version of me, where it's like you had to have that contrast. This is what she's used to at home. Wasn't even this bright and colorful for real at school. It was a very muted kind of dark orange for the school cheerleading uniforms, dimly lit hallways, and then super bright colors, bright lighting, bright sunshine in the outdoor scenes. It showed the contrast between where she was and where she is. And I feel like using that to point sort of a non-threatening, I don't want to say positive, but more like a non-threatening view of conversion therapy kind of is like the over-exaggeration to kind of highlight how bad conversion therapy really is. Like, nothing positive comes from conversion therapy. And this was a huge thing in the 1990s. I mean,
And
mention. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say all the camps, like nearly every camp that's been put up in throughout the past, have all been closed, and nearly every person running the camps has apologized and come out.
And I think that's another thing that gets shown here in this movie, that the people involved in the camp, they were gay themselves.
Not sure about Mary, the woman running it. I'm iffy on her.
Yeah, but
Like,
her
is
son
she?
for sure,
Uh-huh.
and Mike, played by Ru fucking Paul.
And in that vein, is RuPaul spending the entire movie in masculine attire and a goatee considered drag for him?
Almost.
Just because he spends so much time in feminine?
You know what? That'd be almost a. I would love the opportunity to ask RuPaul.
Yeah.
Actually, to have a conversation with RuPaul, I would actually love that. That would be a top tier interview for me to do.
Mama Ru.
But here we are, looking at, and I think RuPaul's casting. We can transition sort of into casting here. RuPaul's casting into this movie gives it validation and credence.
Yeah.
RuPaul has, in the eyes of most, been the only real acceptable, so forwardly, outwardly queer person in the space when you look at the 1980s, 1990s. If not only, at least the top.
And she looked at the script and asked to be in the movie.
And I think that really gives the credence. It shows where we are with this movie. It shows what the purpose of this movie is. This movie is not to glorify conversion therapy, which was a conservative desperation of ending queerness. But it highlights that this is a movie that's going to be, in the end, supportive of all the queer people who are watching this. And this movie is for that queer community. It is for you to watch and understand we are going to satirize this terrible thing, and in the process completely dismantle it.
And I think it's absurd for the sake of pointing out how absurd conversion therapy is.
Absolutely. This is why it's so important to support these arts. And when you have queer movies, Black books, anything that fits into a category like that, we need to protect these. It doesn't mean that books by straight white Christian males can't be positive or protected. Books should be protected in general. And none of this is to demonize anybody, but we are highlighting the point of this, that these need to be protected, because these highlight, if you take away a movie like this and then conversion therapy starts becoming a thing again, like we can go back to this and show you, see how absurd this is, see how ridiculous this is, you see how it doesn't work for literally anyone there.
Yep.
Like, more queer people walk away from this camp than it went in. And
yeah, the final roster, the final graduating roster was 3 out of what, 10, 11?
Yeah. And then it becomes clear that Mary's son, Rock, and Mike are also very queer. So when they leave, that's +2. And it just shows that none of this has worked. This is all performative. And that's how some kids have gotten out of it, was just performing. They just had to say what it needed to be said in order to get through it and be done.
And that is another stat from that I learned looking the stuff up, researching, is that a lot of the staff of these places are people that have gone through the programs. And they're just, I think they're staying on to reinforce their own brainwashing.
Yeah. Because sometimes that's what you need. You need to, the message has to be constantly fed to you. If you're going to be brainwashed in any way, shape, or form, you have to be like constantly reminded, this is the lie. This is the lie. This is the lie. Because the truth always comes out. So you have to reinforce this lie over and over again. So be aware of anyone that has to keep telling you how great they are. Translate that however you will.
Mm-hmm.
Any more on the absolute dog water that is conversion therapy?
I think, I mean, there's more like that's story related that I would like to get into with the story.
Fair enough. I think we can go ahead and get into some of this. You wanted to mention some of the casting, and we talked about RuPaul.
Yeah, and we talked about Clea DuVall.
Mm-hmm.
Where did it? So Megan's mom is played by Mink Stoll. Mink Stoll is one of 3 actors that was in every single John Waters films.
Who's John Waters?
Director from the 80s and 90s that did, I mean, his movies were pretty indie, but they were huge in the gay scenes. Like Pink Flamingos and, what are the other ones? Hairspray. Like the original Hairspray.
Gotcha.
John Waters. And so, as far as queer cinema is concerned, John Waters is like, who's the guy who directed all the Brat Pack movies, like Pretty in Pink and stuff?
Oh, I can't remember his name.
He's like the queer version of that.
Gotcha. Basically, a director whose movies, in and of itself, supported and recognized and represented an entire community.
Right. So she is like gay cinema royalty. And then you've got RuPaul. And then, I mean, we discussed this off screen, but we got to say it on screen as well. We had a surprised double feature appearance of Michelle Williams.
Right. And I didn't know which one was Michelle Williams because there's a lot of women in this movie. And I was just like, who's Michelle Williams? And she played Annis's wife in Brokeback Mountain.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, her part was not big in this movie. It was just at the beginning. She was another cheerleader on the squad who helped join in the intervention and get Megan committed to this place.
She was the friend that took the poster out of the locker.
Mm-hmm.
The worst locker in the entire school. Every other locker closed really well, except for hers. Just a small gripe, like terrible lockers.
But also, I found out that, this was during season 2 of Dawson's Creek, because that's what she was doing at the time. And she was one of the 4 leads of Dawson's Creek. She saw the script and was like, please, can I have a bit part in this? So,
and please know, this is just for film people. Please know that if a person plays, like she plays a character in this movie, and actually, I guess she plays it in Brokeback Mountain also. She plays a character that does not support.
Oh yes.
The gay character in the movie. this is not a reflection of like, oh, well, she's playing this role, she must not support. Stop making those dumb correlations.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call you an idiot for doing that because I don't like to lie to people. No, don't be an idiot and make that correlation. They're in the movie to support the movie. If the movie supports the community, the movie supports the community. You have to have villains in a movie. You have to have people on these back and forth A versus B type of sides. That's how you have conflict. That's how stories work. So their inclusion in the project is their support. And this goes on for 99 point all of the other movies in the world.
We also have Martin Mull from Night Court.
Oh, love that. I loved Bull was in this movie. Bull was one of my favorite characters from Night Court. Loved Night Court. And having Bull in this movie, particularly in the 90s, he was still recognized for having played Bull. I don't know. It just really warmed my heart, and have him playing the role of a former employee of the camp, and now he's out trying to essentially rescue kids and show them that you can just also be yourself.
We also had fucking Rufio.
We did. Great role. He was fantastic.
Let's see. And the actor that played Rock, Eddie Cibrian, like, yes, he is a very straight actor in real life. At that time, he was like Tiger Beat bait.
Tiger Beat was a magazine, which was a physical publication. Think of it like a blog with pages that you had to go to the store and buy.
And another magazine he frequented was Playgirl. Multiple spreads in Playgirl. Don't ask me how I know that.
Playgirl was a magazine. It's like a physical blog with pages you had to physically buy in stores. With
Jayce
an ID.
knows that because he read all of those Playgirls.
He read the articles, right?
Uh-huh.
That's like the old people joke that I told right there. I didn't even mean for it to be an old people joke. That was okay. So I gotta tell myself. So here's the thing: guys would try to get out of the stigma of reading Playboy. If you're new to this, Playboy was the male nude magazine filled with women, and
also applies to Penthouse,
right? Or Hustler.
Yes.
And then Playgirl was the obvious counterpart, so it had nude men in it. Everything comes back to wrestling. Shawn Michaels did Playgirl, and China did Playboy. Shout out D-Generation X. That's all I wanted to throw in there because it's I get to throw wrestling into that. Thank you for bringing the Playgirl.
So yeah, at 1999, Eddie Cibrian was he was wank bait.
And that's the word of the day.
Ding ding ding.
A ling.
And I mean, let's face it, that was his role in the movie.
That was. He was the attractive male son of the camp's owner, who she was struggling to keep straight. It didn't work. Not even close.
And also the object of all the boys' attention, including Mike's.
Which was played by RuPaul. RuPaul Charles. I even wrote in my notes, last name is Charles? Because who hears RuPaul's last name? No, if you said, here's $1 million tax-free every day for the rest of your life, what is RuPaul's last name? I'm like, bitch, fucking what? Yeah, no, good. No, I'd have lost all the money. No, none of it. But RuPaul's last name is Charles. There's your trivia question that you're going to get,
Oh, I
courtesy of
did.
the Women's Cave.
I did write down another tidbit about Clea DuVall.
Go for it.
Um, so yes, she was a sexual awakening for a lot of lesbians, and she did a lot of lesbian and subversive roles, but she did not officially come out of the closet until 2016.
Oh, wow.
She was, and I've seen interviews about this movie. She was to her friends. I mean, she knew she was a lesbian back then. She was out to people she knew. The uh, director of this was friends with her because she was a barista that was giving her free drinks.
That's how you know.
Like,
How you know? That's how you know. Shout out Andrade.
and also, Natasha Lyon, she was not cast for this right away. She found the script on the floor of Clea DuVall's car. They were friends. She picked it up, looked at it, and said, "Oh, I need to be in this."
And that's just dope, if you ask me.
So this whole cast were mostly friends beforehand. Are still friends. Like, this was a family like production.
And that really does make a difference.
It does.
Everyone read that, I'm sure, Sako. Everyone read it. We read the articles in Playboy. That's it. Just the articles.
But the thing I wanted to bring up about her coming out in 2016, it's not specifically related to this movie, but it is just, it speaks to how things are in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That 20 years she was supporting the community. She knew she was a lesbian, and she was working in Hollywood, and yet she still could not come out officially.
And imagine playing lead in this movie, one of the leads in this movie, and still not feeling like you could come out and be just unapologetically yourself.
Yeah.
Which, may I take this moment to encourage anyone and everyone, regardless of what that translates for you, be unapologetically yourself. Unless it's a bigot and a racist, then just go fuck yourself.
As long as it is safe for you to be so.
Yes. And hopefully with more shows like this and more people like us and people in the comments, the people who are watching, we can transform the world to a place where you feel safe and comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into this movie, because it's going to be a lot that we're going to be able to touch on in the course of this movie. Jayce already kind of covered how this movie starts off. We have a cheerleader they're about ready to go to like a state championship or whatever game, and they're preparing to go cheer. But before that, she has an intervention at her house, and she has to go to conversion therapy at True Direction.
And this intervention, I mentioned that I have some issues.
Go ahead.
Because it's a satire. They bring up a lot of really off-the-wall stereotypes to be reasons that she's a lesbian.
Yeah. And mind you, this is reflected as satire on the mindset and the thought processes of the time.
But my problem is that they were right. And that does not sit well with me. When the bigots are right, that irritates me.
That checks out. That's fair. That's fair. That I feel like that's the equivalent of black people like watermelon and fried chicken, because I do love fried chicken, and watermelon is delicious.
But it was a matter of they were right for a couple of things, like the fact that she did not like kissing her boyfriend.
Right, but her boyfriend could not kiss.
But like she was trying to introduce tofu into their family's diet, and she was a vegetarian, and she had artwork that vaguely resembled vaginas, and that made her a lesbian. It's like, no.
Yeah, no. I mean,
but the fact that they brought up all that bullshit and were right regardless of that bullshit, that's what bothered me.
Yeah. I mean, there's a scene at the end of one of these episodes of Stargate SG-1 where Teal'c, who's an alien, was given tickets to the vagina monologues, and he goes there and he's surrounded by lesbians watching the vagina. He has no idea about, and he's an alien. He doesn't understand any of this.
Which, by the way, is not a ventriloquist act.
Oh, they'd have sold so many more tickets if it was. And this is how I get canceled. You can't cancel me. This is the Moon Unscathed. It's not possible. But before we derail too much, so this is where we are. We're at the intervention, and after this, Mike, who's wearing the "Straight is Great" T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
If ever there was a funny T-shirt from a movie that you'd want to wear because it's from a movie, but you couldn't wear because you love that movie, the "Straight is Great" T-shirt is it. And I didn't recognize RuPaul right away.
Oh, you didn't?
No, it took a second. Like when Mike started to talk in the house, I was like, didn't click. Did not click. So whenever you see movies where RuPaul plays like a masculine character, it always throws me off. Always. But this is when we go into the therapy, and they have it's a 5-step program.
Mm-hmm.
And the movie is broken up basically into these 5 steps. It's how we break the movie apart through and through. The 5 steps are basically admit that you're gay, discover your gender identity, family therapy, demystify the other sex, and simulate sexual lifestyle. These are the 5 steps towards quote unquote not being gay anymore. Like it's just, so they have like this AA meeting style circular where they all have to admit that they're a homosexual. There's a big ass checklist and everything. You just have to admit it. And she had a hard time admitting that she was gay. She had a hard time reconciling this. Now, this is not something I've had experience with, but I assume that at some point when the world around you does not support you or does not support an idea, and you realize that you have that idea or you fit into that space, this probably actually is the hardest part. It's recognizing that I do belong here.
No. Yeah, but the other campers really bully her into admitting it. Like it's really uncomfortable.
And I think that that's kind of intentional.
Oh yeah.
Because there's another spot where they ask you what your root is.
That's a whole. I have so many notes on that root thing.
Um, Fuck it, let's go into it.
Well, I want
So
to. There's two things.
before you get into it, I want to explain what they're meaning. So when they're asking the group to find your root, they're asking them to find the moment. Basically, I think as Jayce called it, their gay awakening. What was it that happened that made you realize, oh, I'm gay?
Not realize. What's the thing that caused you to be gay?
Ooh, thank you for the correction. Yes,
because they didn't realize that basically the premise for this root is that it's the thing that turned you gay, whether or not you realize it whether or not you realize it. And
which is a very very important distinction from what I said. Thank you for the correction.
The reasons are so bullshit. They are, but they're based on like stereotypes, and that was the reason for them, was to make fun of these stereotypes. Like,
go ahead.
Like one of the girls was born in France. That's like, oh yeah, that makes you a lesbian.
And that was.
Go ahead.
I was remember her name, Sinead. That was Sinead, and I thought Sinead was like super hot. There was that out there. I have a type.
But when they got to Megan's root, damn.
This is an interesting root. Megan is the main character, obviously, and when we get to Megan's root, not only does Megan not come up with Megan's root, she's actively fighting the assumptions in the root. And then you see them highlighting the point throughout the movie. So the root that they come up with for Megan is that at a point in time, her father wasn't working. Mom had to pick up the slack, which is what parents do. And from that point on, she saw her mom in a dominant role, and her father was emasculated, which is such a problematic thing in so many different
spaces.
That's
it's the problematic nature of all these assumptions about that situation.
Because even when you take it outside of the LGBTQ community and how this
it's
is
impacting so toxic.
Megan, it is, because I was watching other videos completely unrelated to this show, where they were discussing, a man having a problem trying to keep up with the money being made by the girl he was trying to date. A friend of mine, who, out of respect, I won't name or insinuate or imply, had messaged me and was talking to me about she was went on a date, and that was the issue the guy had. He didn't think he could keep up with the money she made. And I'm like, oh, he's just a weak bitch. So, like, because if you make less money than your girl, like, that's not an issue. The man doesn't have to make more money. We have these mindsets. We have these ideas socially where, woman has to do A, B, man must do B. And you miss out on great opportunities in life by having such narrow views on gender roles. And even though that's an angle outside the show, that is what is reflected inside this movie as far as Megan's why. The idea that just because there was an issue with the job, and like he's like, I wasn't even out of work a whole year. Like I was only out for a few months.
9 months.
And
he got a better job with more money.
Right. He upgraded, and now we're gonna like shit on him for that.
But it was Megan mentioned that happened, and Mary, the
counselor, the head counselor, we'll call it.
The head of the camp jumped on it, and she's the one that came up with these terms that her father was emasculated and her mother was domineering.
Yeah.
He lost his job and had to job hunt, and she picked up the slack, and what they're saying is what she is saying, and what the author of the movie is implying that these conversion camps think is that if men aren't participating in toxic masculinity and women aren't participating in trad wife behavior, they can turn their kids gay.
And I will say this, you're starting to see a lot of this reflected in modern day.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous to not say it. So as much as I try to be as neutral on this show, fuck it. This is dangerous. And people can be hurt. Not because, they'll be turned. No, fuck all that noise. Because people are putting on acts. People are putting on a lot of this performance. And sometimes to maintain the performance, the only way to counteract is violence. This actually does come up later on in the movie. I'll just fast forward to that one scene later on. There is a point where the character played by Bull, Lloyd and Larry, they have basically a queer safe house. It's basically
yes.
And they do this Westboro Baptist Church style anti-gay protest outside of that house. And one of the kids, this is right after the scene where the kids snuck out and went to a gay bar. And one of the kids coming back to the safe house says, "Hey, I saw you there last night." And so in retaliation, Graham, that's DuVall's character, Graham picks up a rock and throws
retaliation or self-preservation?
Both.
I think it's more self-preservation.
It was. I'm
to shut him up.
I'm getting to that point. So I'll refrain from using the word retaliation. I see the point you're making, but in a way to shut that kid up, the response is violence. And my point was that when you're putting on the act, because they were called out for sneaking out and the way to divert from the conversation taking place, Graham basically says, "I have a crush on one of the boys here. Clearly things are working." And she stroked Mary's ego and diverted the conversation. But for that, Graham starts to put on the act in order to fit the mold of what she's supposed to be fitting in.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, in order to maintain that guise, sometimes the response is violence. Even when you don't actually hate the person you're violent against, but you have to do it, like you said, for self-preservation. And that's the point that I was getting at, that we see this today when the community, when the world at large is not safe enough to just be yourself. Sometimes we're forced to put on a mask, in a sense, to put on this disguise. And sometimes in order to maintain that guise, the response is violence, because it's the most extreme that you can do. And people are hurt in that violence, which is why we're doing shows like this, to normalize being yourself and trying our best to say, this behavior is bad, do better.
And piggybacking off of that and staying in the root section, the character Andre, who is the most effeminate of the boys at the camp.
Yeah.
He cannot figure out what his root is. He cannot figure out what turned him gay. And the reason, it's not explicitly said in the movie, but the reason is he doesn't know what it's like not to be gay.
He just is.
Yeah.
There wasn't a moment where it converted. It's just natural. For me, I've always liked girls. There was never a girls are yucky phase for me.
Mm-hmm.
which surprises absolutely nobody. Um, but that just wasn't a thing. And I would assume that that's no different for anyone else. Whatever you're attracted to, you're just attracted to them.
I mean, there are people that it does shift and adjust through their lives,
Yeah.
and but for I think having Andre there was a really good addition, just because he doesn't know. He's never been straight.
Yeah. A great example of that is Elliot Page.
Hmm.
I love Elliot Page. I could not wait to read Page Book or Page Boy. That's the memoir by Elliot Page. Um, I suggest anyone read it. Do be advised, it gets dark at a point, but to kind of highlight your point in writing, that's what most of Page Boy is. It highlights the, obviously Elliot before Elliot was Elliot, um, lived a life where, she was expected to like boys.
Hmm.
And then when, as Elliot is in the process of progressing to go from, um, I don't believe it's a dead name, I'm avoiding it anyway, um, in progress to Elliot, she, at the time, um,
And to be
went through
fair,
these.
he has said that he refers to himself in the past as she.
Yeah, I was going to get to that point when I was done because that's how
Oh,
the
okay.
audiobook was.
Yeah.
So I'll just skip to that point. In the audiobook, which is how I read Page Boy, Elliot said that when Elliot is referring to a time when Elliot was Ellen, he refers to themselves as she, as it is most logical. That was a conflict when writing the book,
Hmm.
and that's addressed very early on in the book, as
And
far as for context and clarity.
and for any listeners who are like in the weeds on this, it is an individual choice.
Yes,
It is
there is
not
no.
it is not one way for everyone.
Yes, and my interaction and behavior and usage of names is solely based on how I heard
Hmm.
Elliot explain this at the beginning of Elliot's own book that Elliot narrates in the audio. So
Right. And I remember you telling me that, and I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure that was said explicitly in this.
yeah, and again, like these are points of clarity, um, because again, we in the black community we tend to say black is not a monolith, clear
Hmm.
is not a monolith, queer is not a monolith either. Um, Things work out better for one than the other. Things are more comfortable for one than the other. Some are comfortable with one thing that someone else isn't, and it's really just get to know the people as people and don't look at them as a rainbow colored monolith. That's just not how that works in any space. But anyway, that's the point. That like if things progress from thinking that they were straight but just maybe not interested to maybe thinking that they were bi to maybe thinking that they were a lesbian to realizing that they were trans, to go along with the original point, things progressed for some, but for Andre they did not.
Right.
Andre was gay through and through, dated it like day one.
And when he got kicked out of camp because Mary was like, "Yeah, I can't fix that." Uh, he just he turned around and called the rest of the campers liars.
Yeah, because while Mary felt like she couldn't fix that, Andre realized there's nothing to be fixed.
Hmm.
But everyone else was putting on an act, was going through the motions, either lying to Mary or lying to themselves. And that's ultimately what you're going to get out of conversion therapy. It's just people either going to be lying to you or lying to themselves.
Now, there is something that I wanted to point out because it's just a movie making thing that I thought was genius.
Okay.
That it's just a scenery thing. Mary's flowers. when she is tending to her garden, did you notice them?
I did not.
They are all plastic.
That I did notice. They were all fake. And she like
And
picked them up and dusted them.
and just the fact that I think that's a really good analogy, or not analogy, a really good commentary on the whole conversion camp as a whole. Is she is there tending to falsehood.
That's nice. I like that. It's a great observation.
I thought you'd like that. It's right up your alley.
It is. Because I do love finding meaning and purpose in the way things are portrayed visually in movies. The stories being told. Same thing with wrestling, because everything comes back to wrestling. You have the story that you're blatantly telling in like backstage interviews and vignettes and such. But there's a story being told in ring also. Whether it's who's not being tagged or who's not getting the title shot. There's always a story that you can tell in ring without saying a word. This is a small promo to throw in here. AEW is great at doing in-ring promo and in-ring storytelling, and you can hear all about my first time going to an AEW show tonight on this same channel as Moon Eagles Wrestling. I don't have a cool name for it. The episode just yet.
Same bad channel, but not same bad time.
No, so 6 p.m. tonight. It'll also be live. You'll be able to see my face then. Sorry, but
are you apologizing that they're not seeing it now, or that they will see it later?
That they will see it later.
Okay,
I'll get beat up for that later. But yeah, because AEW does great in-ring storytelling, and I just wanted to throw that out because we're going to be talking about my first time going to see AEW tonight. But promo over.
I want to talk about a couple of the other campers.
Go for it.
Sinead.
So real quick, before you start,
Okay.
I'm going to ask the question. So, in your view, are all the different characters kind of highlighting the different miscellaneous roles one might find themselves in as they're being sent to such a camp? Like these are you might feel like Sinead, or you might feel like Hillary, or you might be like Graham, and just kind of like representation of
So I feel like that is true, and I tried to nail them down, but some of the characters I just couldn't.
The Blackening is a movie that I absolutely love. And basically, The Blackening is one of those Black is not a monolith kind of movies.
Mm-hmm.
And all the characters kind of fit some element of the assumption of the true expression of what is Blackness. There's an example of it through all the members of the cast.
The two that I just couldn't nail down for why they were the way they were the Australian girl and Joel, the Jewish boy. Like, I'm sure there was some reason when they were written, but they just the blonde boy too.
So you're talking Hillary?
Yeah.
And Joel. And then
the blonde boy.
I can't remember his name to save my life. This is the third time I've been trying to remember it. And I was literally just looking at the cast page.
And I mean, I should remember he was
Clayton.
the second.
Clayton.
Thank you. I should remember he was the second prettiest guy in the movie. Behind Rock.
Thank you. You can't say who the second was and not tell everybody who the first.
Oh, definitely Rock. He was there to be the prettiest. How gay were they?
Yeah, but I think everyone kind of felt fit into a space. All right, go ahead with your point. Sorry.
So Sinead. She her arc brought reference to something that is a technique used in the conversion therapy called aversion therapy.
Yes.
And they softened it. So what aversion therapy is causing yourself discomfort or being caused discomfort or pain in order to associate that pain with something, with the behavior that they're trying to get rid of. So in her case, she was shocking herself every time she thought of
Graham.
a Graham or another girl. They softened it in this movie and made it comedic by making her enjoy the pain, like she was a masochist. Yeah. So she was doing it for fun.
Yeah, that was gratification more than anything else. Basically, her shock toy was a sex toy.
Yeah, but they did that because actual aversion therapy is horrific. Talked to someone recently who was put through aversion therapy with ECT. And it's just...
What is ECT?
Electroconvulsive therapy. Shock treatment.
Yeah. So just imagine that. And I'm going to bring this up because usually conversion therapy is something parents put their kids through. Kids that we are charged as parents to protect, love, and keep safe. And if you can honestly look at your children and condone electrocuting them for thoughts, for feelings, if you can condone that, just give your kids up. Don't go to conversion therapy. Go to an adoption agency and give your kids away. I'll say that as a parent, I could never put any child through that for any reason.
And I will say this, I forgot to mention it earlier because it's about conversion therapy in general, but aversion therapy is like tenfold of that. It's like the ultra concentrated conversion therapy. Is that the United Nations has classified conversion therapy as a human rights abuse.
Rightfully so.
And it's still legal in more than half of this country.
And that's one of the reasons why that is the significance of this. Like, that's why this movie really does fit in a cultural impact review. It is a social commentary, a satirical commentary on something that people are still okay with today. Like in 2026, this should not be a thing. Never should have been a thing. But in 2026, it absolutely shouldn't be.
Yes. And I guess we can touch on that in 2026, 3 states that had bans have had those bans repealed, which means we are backsliding. That is terrifying to me.
Just to paint this picture to the parents out there, if you have a child, whatever gender, whatever age, whatever grade, whatever kind of school, public or private, there's a likelihood that in their classroom, at least one child is gay. Genuine statistics will probably tell you higher. Yeah. But mind you, statistics are based on available information, and not all kids feel safe enough to make themselves available. So, skewed statistics. But I'll tell you that at least one. Children that your kids may play with at the playground, at least one likely gay. likely queer in some space.
Classroom of 30, probably 3, according to
At
the
the very least.
statistics.
There you go. So one of those kids could be your child's best friend. One of those kids could be your next door neighbor's child. One of those kids is probably yours. I would hate to see a day where conversion therapy is forced on children because of.
But it is.
Well, I mean, like by the state.
Oh, yeah.
Not like parents sending them, but like we suspect XYZ, therefore you're going.
Because that becomes concentration camps.
Yeah, we are dangerously sliding in that direction.
Yeah.
So please understand.
State-mandated cleansing.
Yeah. And they'll give you whatever excuses. And again, you can believe what you want to believe. You can think how you want to believe. I understand that like Christian conservative values say XYZ when it comes to whatever it is you might want to feel about life, the universe, and everything. And I'm not here to make you to tell you that this is right, this is wrong, this is right, this is wrong about general conservative beliefs. But harming children should be considered wrong universal. Mm-hmm. That should not be questioning. That should not be a partisan belief. Harming children is not okay. Whether that's at any time. We cannot condone this therapy. We cannot condone this behavior. We cannot condone these practices. And this movie does a great job of, in a satirical light, showing you this does not work. But it also shows how simple it is for kids to be assumed and then demonized and then sent off to some conversion camp to be rehabilitated.
Mm-hmm. And it is frightening to me that, you know, this movie was relevant in 99 and society moved forward and we thought it was irrelevant, and it's becoming more and more relevant again.
If you ever sit back and wonder, why does Pride Month need to exist? Why do they need a Pride Month? This is why. Mm-hmm. Because this gives us the opportunity to talk about these things. And these things should not just be talked about in the month of June.
Right.
These are conversations that are being had year round.
Trust me. Moon and I have these conversations
all the time, year round. And these are conversations that need to be had on more public spaces. We need to remind everyone that by ignoring X, Y, or Z, you know, this person talking about that, or, you know, okay, so we have trans people in Congress. Let them be in Congress. There's nothing that states that they shouldn't be in Congress representing their space. They got elected, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Boom. That's the process. And when Republicans win and Democrats are mad, or Democrats win and Republicans are mad, like, you lost the election. That's how elections work. Someone wins, someone loses. This is just what it is. Change your views, run some other time, run some other place. Like, but when people are elected officials, let them be elected officials, regardless of their creed, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their race, regardless of their gender identity. It doesn't matter. They won the election. Let them be in their space. But we're getting to a place where we're losing that. We're losing access to that. That's being actively combated. People are being discredited and kicked out of offices, and districts are being redrawn. This is dangerous. And movies like this from 1999, as long ago as that is, and I don't want to do the math. Oh, just did the math. These
27
are,
years.
yeah. But in nearly 3 decades, we should be doing better, and we were, and we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest with y'all out there, like, this is fear. I don't know what the hell you're afraid of, but these are negative responses to fear and ignorance. And I wish that you would just do better. Like, I don't know how else to put that. I wish that people in mass would just do better. More people need to have shows like this. They need to speak out. And this is not just a conversation that, you know, trans people need to have, or, you know, gay men, lesbians need to have. Side note, can we do better? If we're gonna have the word lesbian, can we find something better than just gay? Like, can we
I've been saying that for years.
If you're gonna have like a blank, like a term for, we need to, that's an in community thing.
Can we not have our own word, please?
I mean, again, it's not my community, so I don't get a vote in this, but can you put that to the council? You put it to the council.
The council ain't listening to me.
You're card carrying, you got to vote, right? Like, I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works.
Unfortunately, it's the prettier you are, the more votes you get.
Well, as the cameras are not on in this show, neither one of us we have a vote, and we were part of the community. No, but and just to make it a little bit lighter in the moment, but it takes everyone. It takes all of the allies and all the accomplices to step up and make a statement as well. And that's one of the things that we are doing with this show and with this series. So take that for what it is. More people need to speak up, and the kids need it. The kids need you. If you're hearing this, the kids need you. So share those posts, buy those flags, donate to those charities.
And speaking of which, at the end of the movie, Megan's dad joins PFLAG, which is parents and friends of lesbians and gays.
Oh, that's what that meeting was.
Yeah, which means that her dad, at least, was coming around. And I think they included that as a way to show parents who are watching this movie what they can do to be accepting. And yes, I know the title of PFLAG is just lesbians and gays, but it makes the acronym.
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand that when you have a really cool like acronym, like we can make it work, we can say this, you just kind of go with it. That's not an exclusionary tactic. That's just audible aesthetics. Like, it just looks cool to put on a t-shirt. Like, let it go.
I mean, it's like pride flag. Come on.
Yeah, it's like MAD, like Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Like, that doesn't mean dads aren't against it. It's just you're mad about it, and so it works with the actor. It just works. Mm-hmm. Okay, it just works.
But yeah, it was a good message to have at the end. But there was one more camper that I wanted to get into,
mm-hmm.
and that is Jan.
Yes, very important to mention.
Yeah, because, and I was confused as to which direction they were going with the character.
Yeah,
and it took me until the second watching to understand that no, she is not trans. She's just a very, very butch woman.
I thought no. I think she was trans, because I think what she's saying in that meeting, that one when she runs out, and Mike runs after her, is I'm only laughing right now because I've said the word dicks or something like that so many times today in the last couple hours. But she's like, I like dicks. I just want one of my own. Is what I feel like she was saying before she started crying, running out, which led me to that clarified why she had the mustache, why she had the hair cut short. She wanted to be a boy. She was representing kids who I don't feel like, you want me to like boys. I like boys. I just also want to be one. Like that's what I got from that line.
So that's what I thought the first time, but the
Yes.
second time I was watching it, and I'm like, wait, no, that with the themes of the movie, it makes more sense that she is just a very, very masculine girl, and she is there because she does not fit the gender stereotypes. Which, I mean, now that I'm saying it, could also apply to trans. It's up in the air.
I think it's up in the air. So hey, if you've seen But I'm a Cheerleader, if you've seen something behind the scenes that clarifies that, put it in the comments, message us. I'm sure Amanda's doing the research right now because that's what she does.
But either way, she's a very important character to have.
She is, and honestly, it's very representative, regardless of which one of us is right.
Right.
Because that was still the issue at the time when you had the tomboy, which is we had the girls that played football and didn't mind getting dirty, played bikes and things like that. A lot of their parents had the same issues. It's like, why don't you want to wear a dress? Why are you always wearing pants? Why can't you wear makeup? Why can't you, date a football player? Well, the football player is, one, I'm a better player than him, and he doesn't like that. Well, stop playing sports better than the boys. And we start minimizing the women for the sake of men. Stop doing that too. Let your kids just fucking be themselves. Just love your fucking kids.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and the way I took it the second time when she stormed out of that room was that she's saying that, see, from the way I took it was that she is a straight woman who just doesn't look or act like a woman, or doesn't act feminine.
Yeah.
And there was no reason, and she had that meltdown because there was no reason for her to be there. She wasn't a lesbian.
Because masculine women are women too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just, and here's the fun part. Like, even if you disagree for whatever reason, you're wrong. But even if you disagree for whatever reason, it's not your fucking business. It's like, I don't care. If you're listening to this right now, I'm gonna tell you that I don't care what you had for dinner last night. Okay, just as an example, I don't care what you had for dinner last night, and I don't care what you're having for dinner tonight. Do you know why? Because I'm not eating it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on a diet, I'm still going to eat the donut and complain about myself being a fat ass. I love you for your diet. If you're having a great salad, I hope it's full of protein, but that's your business. If I stop drinking regular milk, what business is that of yours? You can drink the full fat milk you want to drink. It's fine. It's perfectly okay. So what happens in someone else's household, how someone else is living their life, has zero impact on you. I always say, when people start talking about their kids, I don't give a damn how you parent until your kid interacts with mine. Now, if you teach your kids to be hateful and they start trying to bring that shit towards me, I'm going to have to fuck your kid up. I'm just going to let you know that. Boy, girl, young, old, I don't care. I'm going to fuck your kid up because now that's bringing your ignorance to me. Now it matters. Make your kids safe to interact with other kids. Be safe when you interact with your own kids. Be loving parents. teach them to love and accept other people, not tolerate. I really hate the word tolerate in this context. I hate this thing where we're learning to tolerate it. No, tolerate means you're putting up with some shit. I want to just accept and love you. Okay. I'm just going to accept you are who you are as you are. So there's no putting up with you. There's accepting you and treating you like a person, because that's what you should fucking do. I've preached. There you go. I get off my soapbox, but this is my fucking show. It's my fucking soapbox.
And I'm over here propping that soapbox up.
Thank you. But I think that's a really interesting point to make about Jan's character. And Jan doesn't really play a really highly significant role in the movie. But I honestly think that even if you're just looking at the debate that you and I are having about it, that creates thought, that creates question, that creates thinking things through and thinking things out. And I think that's ultimately what this movie's goal was. And I wish it wasn't until 2026 that I heard of this movie. But I'm glad this movie is here, and I'm glad that it is streaming on Tubi, because of course it is.
That is the motto for Tubi, at least Moon's motto for Tubi.
That is. Anyone who's ever watched Soccer on the Moon, there was like a whole season during our movie reviews where every movie was available on Tubi. So we're like, what? At the end of our shows, we're like asking people what movie we should review, and they're like, oh, so and so movie, and like, all right, let's see where it's streaming. Oh, it's on Tubi, because of course it is. And that's become like an ongoing thing. Watch Soccer on the Moon this Friday. Listen, I'm bad at promoting myself. I'm trying to do better.
Yeah, so Jan is extremely important. And there's another character that I wanted your opinion on, and that's Mary herself.
Okay.
Because I couldn't put my finger on it. I could not figure out if she was just a hateful conservative who wanted to change everyone, or if she was a closeted lesbian herself.
Okay. I don't think that she was a closeted lesbian.
Okay.
I would lead in the direction, if I had to put money on the table, I'd put money on the table that she was straight. I will say this. I believe that Mary represents, and this is me being as positive as possible, I believe that Mary is a conservative Christian who is trying to do what she feels is the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when you have to look at a situation like this, you have to look at it from the opposite end. Like, what is the motivation to do this thing? And when you look at the parents who would send their kids, they're not doing it out of anger, asterisks. But they're doing it out of love because they feel like this is the right thing. As a parent, a Christian parent, our Christian responsibility is to raise our kids up in church, for our kids to know God. And when you look at Megan's parents as an example, they're not hating their daughter. They love their daughter. They're doing all this because in their eyes, this is what you do when you love someone who is doing something that they shouldn't. This is the equivalent to a drug intervention. Their intervention was the equivalent of a drug intervention.
And that's exactly how it was presented.
It was. And this is the reason why. The perspective of the parents, for, just to take this perspective, is we believe there is something that our child is doing that will lead them into having a bad life experience. For whatever reason that they have, that is their mindset. For them, it's probably because of their super Christian beliefs, they fear that their child will not make it to heaven. And to a Christian family, that's a big deal, because the whole mindset is that we live on earth, we live good lives, and we are reunited for eternity in heaven. That is the Christian mindset. So the process is we must do what we can to get our child into heaven. As a Christian parent's responsibility is to teach about Christ and lead our children into, having that Christian lifestyle that will lead them to doing the right thing throughout life, making their way to heaven. And I feel like that is their ultimate goal. They see this as a way of doing something positive to help their child, much like a drug intervention would be. So when you look at Mary, I feel like Mary feels like this is how she does her due diligence. This is her way of helping the community in a sense, in the most positive way. Could she be just a hateful bigot? Probably. She very well could, and that could be way off base. But
that's the thing.
I don't think she is.
Both can be true.
They could, but let me get into into one of the examples, the reason why I placed an asterisk.
Okay.
So we have Graham's parents that show up.
Okay, yes.
During the family therapy. And during family therapy, which was step 3, family therapy, everyone's kind of there with their parents, and Joel starts talking about his root. And I think Joel, like, he was kissing somebody at his bar mitzvah or something. They were touching legs or something.
Oh, yeah.
And then I won't repeat what Graham's parents say. But basically, they were very clear. The father specifically, yes, was talking about how I don't want to sit in this room with, and then he uses the F slur. And he looks at Graham, his daughter, and says, I hope you're getting more out of this than they are. And basically started, it's like, we're going to go to Switzerland, and when we get back, you better be better. Otherwise, no car, no college, no trust fund. Mm-hmm. And this is what the parents were holding over her head. And I think this had more to do with appearance.
Yeah, absolutely.
Particularly in 1999, the perception of having a bad child, defined however you societally do, whether that was a sexually promiscuous child, a queer child, if your child was dating a black guy, all these were socially negatives as a white family, and these were. So these were all the things that were societally considered negative. And at that time, when he uses that slur, Mary immediately says, hey, I don't find that appropriate.
Yeah.
So she does correct him. You're right. It is a long show because I don't do short shows. But again, she corrects him. She's like, hey, we don't do that here. And so I don't think that she's a bigot. I don't think she sees this with hate, but I do think she views it as wrong, and she's trying to, quote unquote, in her own view, do the right thing.
And also, I mean, just from the writers will understand this. And anyone who analyzes literature and stuff, is that most of the time the villain is the hero of their own story.
Yes.
And when you look at it from their perspective, they are justified in their own mind. And it's very obvious that Mary believes she is justified in what she is doing.
She thinks she's doing the right thing. She thinks she's making people better. And that was very poignant in 99. People thought that these therapies, that these treatments were good things. People thought that forcing kids to, do X or not do Y, we were helping them. And all we were doing was like pushing them more and more away from us. We were making ourselves unsafe adults. That's what we were really doing. We were highlighting ourselves. We were unsafe people.
I just am realizing as we're talking about it how deliberate a decision that was in making this movie, in including characters like Mary and Megan's parents who honestly think that what they're doing is right.
They're genuinely trying to help.
And they're doing harm while they're thinking they're doing the right thing.
Yes. Because to them, this isn't wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The end result is you will be socially acceptable. That is the goal. And even now, people are still behaving in a way where I want to say and or do something because it's socially acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually having this conversation with my children this morning that you got to be aware of people who are just trying to fit in, because sometimes, like we discussed a little bit earlier, sometimes in order to fit in, they will say or do very harmful things. There's that UFC fighter whose name I'm not going to mention because fuck you, guy, who ended his speech by saying Michelle Obama was a man. She is not. She never was. And this is a thing that people do to just be very hateful, racist, and harmful to Black women. And I bring this up because he only did it in that space to fit in. He only did it to be socially accepted by that culture that was present. And that is what we see when Graham throws the rock at the kid at the safe house.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what people see all the time when they walk the streets in real life.
And you brought up something that I actually saw in a video today discussed at length, that I didn't bring up because it wasn't completely relevant to this movie, that transphobia is used to enforce racism in that respect, of specifically for Black women, calling them manly or men.
Yes. Because that's not a criticism against trans people. That's just a tool used against Black women to demoralize them and call them what they aren't.
Right. So yeah, I have seen that in action.
Yeah. And this is the importance of taking the time to do a long show. That's the importance of doing a series like this. These are relevant. Like, this happened days ago.
Mm-hmm.
The UFC fighter thing, that was days ago. You can find posts on Facebook right now. I saw them this morning. This shit was just days ago. So if you don't think that any of the things that we're talking about now, particularly with this movie from 1999, 27 years ago.
Yeah.
Relevant within the last 7 days.
The overturning of Colorado's ban on conversion therapy 3 months ago. Yeah. Missouri's 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. So yeah, 27 years. Try 27 days.
Yeah. It's
that last
relevant,
one was 27
days.
Within 27 days. That's how relevant these things are. That's why these movies are culturally impactful. That's why this series is happening. Because we get to have this conversation publicly for the rest of the world. And it's on the internet, so it lasts forever. And
and I'm so glad I watched it twice.
Yeah.
I'm so glad, because the first time, the style and the humor of this was in so many queer movies of that time period, that I saw them all sort of the same way.
Yeah.
As being just fluff and campy fluff that just was there as sort of candy, movie candy. And then it took the second time to realize this is actually a really impactful movie.
Yeah. And this is honestly a much longer conversation than I thought it'd be. But in the end of this movie, just as you would suspect, drama, because it's a story. And Graham and Megan end up together because they are themselves, and conversion therapy does not work.
Another movie making thing is they rode off, not into the sunset, but in a truck with a sunset painted on the back window.
I didn't even notice that part.
It's like, oh, that's sweet. That's cute. Interestingly enough, Graham, the character who was out and proud lesbian through the whole thing, like, she was the most comfortable with her sexuality out of anyone at the camp. She was defiant through and through. She buckled hard, and she was the one that needed rescuing. And Megan, our prissy cheerleader, is the one that got kicked out of camp, went to the safe house, and came back on a rescue mission to get Graham out. So the roles got reversed through the
Gotta
movie.
love a good story arc or a good character arc.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, that was somebody realizing who they truly were, becoming comfortable with who they truly were, and helping someone that they loved be who they truly were.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go ahead and close on that note. Was there anything else in particular you need?
No, that was my last. Oh, there was one more point.
Go for it.
That just with the reception of the movie, the MPAA, when they were trying to release this movie, gave it an NC-17. This movie. It was released at the same time as American Pie, which got an R. And you saw what was in American Pie.
Yeah. None of that is in this movie.
Yeah. This is
boys kiss, girls kiss. That's about as extreme as it gets.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was quite obvious what was going on there. The author talked to someone from the MPAA, and it was because the impropriety was between girls as opposed to boys being showing impropriety. So what the girls did, according to the MPAA, what the girls did in this movie was more scandalous and more damaging than what the boys in American Pie did. That is wild.
So go watch this movie, but I'm a cheerleader. And then while you're at it, go back and watch American Pie. And if you have a child, a teenager, and you want to have them watch a movie, ask yourself, which one would I rather put in front of my kids?
Mm-hmm.
Which one would I rather my kids walk in on me watching? Because I can tell you, I'd rather it be this movie 10 times to Sunday.
Yeah, she finally had to cut a bunch of material out to get it to an R rate. Or I think it was an R rating. But she, like, it was a lot of the same of what we saw.
And again, that goes almost entirely into what was considered good, bad, or scandalous in 1999. Yes, this movie was rated R, which is wild.
Yeah, it's so tame.
This is beyond tame. This is PG-13 at best.
Yeah.
And that's the use of I think like maybe 4 times they use the F slur. And I think that would be the most harmful part of this entire movie. But given the context of the movie, the satire around it, it's slightly softened, but slurs are slurs, and they all hurt. So,
but that was
PG-13 at best.
That was the last thing. I crossed the last thing off my list.
So, on that note, next week, what we got next week? What movie do we have for next week?
I believe we're doing Paris is Burning.
Was
that also Tubi?
I
forget.
I want to say it is. Let me take a moment real quick and look up Paris is Burning, because I did find it somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Paris is Burning, movie, R-rated movie from 1990, available on Tubi.
Because
of course it is.
And Paris is Burning is a documentary.
So
about drag culture.
So join us next week at noon. May or may not be this long of a show because I don't do short shows. Exactly. MPAA in the 90s is a wild thing in the first place. Like I said, you can find that movie on Tubi. You can find us, same channel, probably still on my Facebook page. I think people are seeing it there. So it'll still be there. Next Tuesday, 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So for Jayce Maxwell, I almost said Mitchell, but I looked at it. For Jayce Maxwell, I'm DuVall L. Hearn, more affectionately known as Moon. This is the Moon Unscathed. Thank you, everyone.